Is being exceptional necessary? The question is quite straightforward and gets to the heart of how someone feels about themselves and their place in the world. Did your child make you feel like you were good enough as you were? Or did you get the idea that you needed to be exceptional to deserve a place in the world? And another question that comes with this. Do you now feel comfortable with who you are, or do you feel pressured to achieve a lot, or ashamed of not being extraordinary? About 20% of people fall into a group where they either don't think anything will ever be good enough, or they're really hard on themselves for not meeting every high standard. It's like feeling like a failure, even though the odds were stacked against you from the start. When we were in school, we probably worked really hard, not because we loved the subjects, but because we felt like we had to, even though we weren't sure why. We just knew we had to do well in class and study every night. Right now, we might not be outstanding, but we often feel a lot of pressure to be perfect. When we were kids, the story might have been like this. Our parent wanted us to be special in some way, whether smart, good-looking, or popular, to make up for their own feelings of insecurity. We felt pressured to achieve and couldn't just be ourselves. Our own desires and interests didn't matter. Our parent was struggling privately with pain, unable to see their own worth, dealing with hidden sadness, and maybe even facing difficulties with their partner. Our job as a child, without any choice, was to try and fix everything. Looking at success in a different way can seem strange, not as the impressive thing we often hear about, but sometimes as a type of mental problem. The people who build tall buildings, write popular books, perform on stage, or reach high positions at work might actually be the ones struggling. On the other hand, those who live a simple life without much stress, the so-called happy, average people, might actually be the emotional stars, the leaders of the heart. The world can be seen as having two groups: those who can be normal and those who feel they must be exceptional. The worst case scenario for the latter is experiencing a breakdown. Suddenly, after achieving for years, they may, if they're fortunate, struggle to get out of bed. They spiral into deep sadness. They feel extreme anxiety in social situations. They stop eating. They talk in a confused way. They somehow disrupt everyday life and are allowed to stay home for a while. A breakdown isn't just a random bout of madness or malfunction. It can be a genuine, though unclear and inconvenient, effort for better health. It's a way for one part of our minds to push the other towards growth, self-understanding, and self-improvement, which it had previously avoided out of fear. In a paradoxical sense, it's an attempt to kickstart a process of getting truly well, even if it means going through a period of being very unwell. When we feel unwell, we might be trying to break down everything from our old careers that made us feel driven but unhappy. We could be aiming to have fewer responsibilities and spend less money. We might also be trying to escape the pressure of other people's expectations, which can be harsh and unreasonable. Our societies, which are often unhealthy as a whole, don't often show us positive examples of regular, satisfying lives. They tend to see a simple life as a failure. We think that only people who have no other choice would want a calm life. We always link success with being in the spotlight, in the city, or on stage. We don't appreciate the quiet satisfaction that comes with age or the peace after we've reached our peak. However, there isn't really a single point of success. It's different for each person. Sometimes, artists create things that show deep wisdom. Montaigne, in the third volume of his essays, written shortly before his death in the late 16th century, talks about this. He says that doing big, impressive things like leading a nation or handling tough situations are important achievements. But he also emphasizes the importance of everyday actions like being honest, laughing, buying and selling, loving and hating, and living peacefully with your family and yourself. He believes that these simple yet sincere actions are even more special, rare, and challenging. Despite what others may think, Montaigne argues that living a quiet life like this comes with its own difficult responsibilities. In the late 1650s, a Dutch painter, Johannes Vermeer, made a painting called The Little Street that still challenges what we think is important today. Maybe success isn't always about big things like fame or fancy trips. It could simply be a quiet afternoon with your kids at home on a regular street. This idea shows up in stories by Jacob or Raymond Carver, in Bob Dylan's Time Out of Mind album, and Thomas Jones' study of a wall in Naples from 1782, and in Eric Rohmer's films, especially Le Rayon Vert from 1982. However, most movies, ads, songs, and articles usually focus on different things like fast cars, luxurious vacations, fame, a grand destiny, flying first class, and always being busy. These things can seem really attractive, but when we see them all the time, we might start feeling like our own lives aren't worth much. Even though what we do every day might seem ordinary, there's actually a lot of skill, happiness, and honor in it. Like teaching a child to be independent and balanced, keeping a good relationship with a partner despite challenges, maintaining a tidy home, getting enough rest, doing a job that's not too exciting or well paid, but doing it well and happily, listening to others properly, and overall not letting the challenges of life make us angry or crazy. There are many good things to appreciate in our lives when we learn to see them without judging ourselves. When we move past what others expect of us, we might find that life's real pleasures are simple things like peace and quiet, friendships built on trust, being creative just for ourselves, and loving without expecting too much. The little things like relaxing bath, dried fruits, walnuts, and dark chocolate can also bring us joy.